So, we're talking guitars, or we're talking guitar, whichever you are.
I am Mr. P.
And I'm Mr. F. And yeah, I guess we thought we'd record some of our chat. We're always talking about guitars and stuff, so and gear. So, in general, so what got you started on guitar? What made you first start playing?
I was 14, I think, which was a very long time ago now. I remember seeing the film Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox, and that had a really profound effect on me at the time. I loved the bit where they were in their high school audition and his band were just too damn loud and they got told off for that. That appealed to me. And the bit where I think Doc Brown had made him that massive guitar speaker and he plugged it in and it blew him back across the room.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think there's a bit in there as well where he plays a little bit of Eruption by Eddie Van Halen to fry his dad's brain. Yeah, that's it, where he's got like the hazmat suit thing on. And it was just such a cool film, and I just thought the guitar was so cool, and I pestered my dad to get me one, and in the end he bought me the cheapest, nastiest possible guitar, and I absolutely fell in love with it. What about you?
Cool stuff. Well, for me, I suppose my interest in guitar went back to when I was 8 and my brother first played the Back in Black album on a cassette on my dad's car stereo. So the first kind of prop guitar I heard was Hell's Bells, and after that, yeah, AC/DC have always been, well, probably arguably my favourite band.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually start playing guitar till I was 13 because I wanted to play guitar, but didn't really wasn't an option until I managed to scrape together some money and buy my first guitar myself.
Oh, you are younger than me, and your story has got so much more rock cred than mine.
I don't know, but yeah, and that's probably why I like SGs so much. Is Angus Young, but yeah, so it's kind of like that, and then probably like yourself, you get to you maybe have a few lessons as I did, and learn to play some stuff, or you sit there listening to the record as we used to, and lifting the needle because we
days YouTube before YouTube,
but yeah, it's and then you go on to start playing in bands, and both you and I have played in our fair share of bands and stuff over the years. So with that being kind of doing covers or original stuff, we've both done quite a few gigs, haven't we? And played in different venues up down the country. So yeah, it's. I think we've got a lot of experience between us.
Yeah, I think just what you were saying there about learning guitar by dropping the needle on the record. I mean, even now when I got to work songs out now, it's all too easy to go and watch some 10-year-old kid on YouTube playing it faultlessly, but I don't know, it feels pretty sterile and pretty boring. There was something magical about constantly picking the needle up and dropping it back 3mm and just going over and over.
Yeah, I guess maybe as well, you kind of you try to hear that tone off the record and you play it at home, and obviously the gear, certainly myself, the gear I was using wasn't capable of the tones I was hearing on the record. I think my kind of first, I suppose, serious amp was a HH 100 watt that was brutally clean, and I had to stick a pedal in front of it and to get it going, kind of thing. But yeah,
my first amp was like that. It was some cheap Japanese transistor thing, and my parents got it for me for Christmas, and up until then I hadn't had an amplifier, and I got that and a distortion pedal, and I plugged it in Christmas morning expecting that
you'd have the magical sound.
That I'm going to sound like Eddie Van Halen through a cranked 100 watt plexi. And it just sounded terrible. It was like a wasp in a bean can. And I remember the crushing defeat, thinking, oh no, what am I doing wrong?
I remember my very first amp before I got the HH. I had just it was a 10 watt. I can't remember what make it was. It had only 3 knobs on it. I think there was maybe a volume, a tone, and a tremolo, which is like you switched it on and off and the speed. Tremolo to me then was kind of alien, kind of an old person's kind of effect, I guess.
Because it wasn't what Angus used.
Yeah, but I just turned the amp up as loud as it would go to try and make it kind of sound good and distort. But
they never did they?
It wasn't a bad. It wasn't a nice distortion.
Those transistor amps. It wasn't a nice sound.
My dad banging on the floor, turn that down. So but anyway, that's it. But yeah, so certainly we thought we'd throw a hat in the ring with other YouTube shows. There's plenty of them about that talk about gear, and a lot of them like kind of promoting current gear and stuff. We're not really into that as such. What we kind of, when we talk ourselves, when we go to the pub, we talk about new gear we've bought, or guitars or amps and stuff.
But it's always old gear though.
Yeah, but or things that we want to get, kind of thing. So certainly between us, we've had lots of different guitars, pedals, amps and stuff, and so I think we've got a lot we can talk about and share, and show in terms of guitars and different guitars and stuff. So that's kind of what we want to kind of do with this show. But then I think we also perhaps talk about, as we've just done there, talk about some of the bands or guitar players that we like, and some of the gear that they might have used or did use, and then we might also do some out and about, either a guitar show or some guitar shops.
Yes, absolutely.
So quite a lot we can go at. So that's kind of what we thought for this. In terms of the gear we're using today, what's your guitar you've got there, Jamie?
Well, it's a Bitzer Strat, basically. It's an American hard ash body that I built this guitar. I painted it. It's nitrocellulose, Daphne blue. The pickups in it are it's a Seymour Duncan JB, which I love those in Strat shapes. They're really aggressive, quite bright sounding. I think they just really suit that. So 59 in the neck, and I'm not entirely sure what the middle pickup is, but I never use that anyway. American vintage trem, and the neck is a kind of it's like a Wolfgang type profile, so it's quite rounded at the back. It's got quite a big shoulder on it, and then it slopes away quite a bit underneath, which I just find that really comfortable. It's a guitar that kind of, I gig with this an awful lot. Most of the marks on that are just stuff from me being clumsy over the years, but it's a great kind of covers all bases guitar. But what about you? What are you playing?
So this it's a 2016 SG, Gibson SG, so nothing too fancy. I picked it up, I bought it second hand from a shop in London, and it's it's just it's one of those guitars that I picked it up in the shop and thought initially I was sold on the look, but picked it up and it's like I just bonded with it straight away. Just like really felt kind of
such
good.
an iconic looking
It's
guitar.
light. I have modded it, so I took out the original Gibson pickups because it had Alnico 5, and these are some pickups that I got from a UK maker called Bloodstone Guitar Works, and these are Alnico 2 unpotted P90s, so they're kind of like they're not so they're not the low wind on them, so they're not as high output as the Gibson ones, and they just sound a bit warmer, don't break up quite so easily, and then also I took out there was a PCB board in this, so I took that out, again put a loom in that I bought from the same guy that did the pickups for me, and then just changed the knobs, changed the switch tip and stuff in there, but it's other than that it's stock. But this is a really good model because it's got the standard appointments but with the P90s, and it just
looks cool.
works for me.
Of course, in the only colour that you can have a Gibson SG in.
Well, maybe. And then so what have you got going on your pedal board?
Well, I've got a Vox wah, hand-wired wah, which I've had it for donkey's years. I really like the Vox wah. It's, I guess, you know, it's what Stevie Ray Vaughan used to use, and just think it's a really cool throaty wah. MXR Phase 90, being a Van Halen fan, you can't have a pedal board without that. For distortion, I've got a Sur Coco Boost, which is really good into a fairly cleanish amp like a JTM 45 Marshall. That works really well. But my main go-to for dirt is the Boss SD1, which Les Paul SD1 going into a cranked Marshall is just, you know, for gigging, it's just, there isn't anything better than that, I don't think. You can pick up those pedals cheap on eBay, they're like 35, 40 quid, and I've had so many dirt pedals over the years, I always end up coming back to that. And then in the loop, I've got a Strymon Volante, really great kind of old school delays. I've just got a fairly simple slapback, fairly simple drum and tape delay, and my new secret weapon is an Eventide pitch factor, which does that 80s thing really cool. It's got that kind of detuned effect, which I should just switch that on a little bit. Which I really love that, and when I gig with that it's on quite a lot. I know it's a little bit over the top, but it's cool.
Sounds cool. That sounds like it's a fun pedal.
It is, and that's it, that's my pedal board.